Hi, I'm Addison K. Witt, Poet Laureate of the Defense of Democracy and host of this podcast. The attack on America's public school system isn't slowing down, but neither are we. Here you'll meet authors, educators, students, and defenders from across the country who aren't just sounding the alarm, they're answering it. You'll be informed, you'll be moved, and if we've done our job right, you'll be ready to stand with us. This is the Defense of Democracy podcast. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Rise with Addison Witt, our Defense of Democracy podcast. Here we explore leadership, democracy, and the voices stepping forward to shape a stronger future. Today I'm joined by Anne Parelkar, an immigration attorney and candidate for the United States Senate in Kansas. Anne has spent her career advocating for people, navigating some of life's most complex and legal and human challenges. Now she's bringing that experience into public service on a larger stage. We will talk about what inspired her to run for office and how issues like democracy, economic fairness, and immigration connect in the lives of everyday people. And welcome to Rise Podcast. It is a pleasure to have you here today.
So much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Excellent. We had a chance to chat a little bit, and so I've gotten a chance to know you somewhat. But for listeners meeting you for the very first time, who is Anne and what journey brought you to this Senate race?
So I am, like you said, I'm an immigration lawyer. I'm actually licensed in 3 states. I'm a daughter of the American Revolution, so I have an ancestor who served in the Revolution. I'm also the wife of a naturalized citizen, so I've experienced the immigration process on a personal level as well. And I'm a mom. I have 2 kids who are 8 and 10, and they're in our public schools. And to be honest with you, they are a big part of the reason that I decided I had to run. I'm worried about the future of our country, what they're going to inherit from us, and I can't sit out and leave a fight for my kids to have that I can have for them. So
That's one of the most important. I talk with a lot of people about children. There are a lot of people in the country who are very concerned about children, and children to me represent the future. And so, what I hear in that, and from you right now, is a massive concern about our future, your children, their future that they're leaving, and the future of our nation, our world. And so that sounds very personal.
yes, sir, it is. It's very personal. And it's one of those things I never envisioned myself doing this. It was not on my to-do list. I actually, I was a history major with a political science minor and a secondary education concentration. And so I've actually worked with kids a lot. I've taught. I still am the room parent. I go on as many field trips as I can go on, and I love children. And I think, if we would make this world more child friendly, we'd all be better off for it. But they are absolutely the future of everything. I mean, there is no future without them, and so they are the most important, the most important thing in our society. I think.
You have built a career as an immigration attorney, as you've mentioned. How has representing real people shaped your understanding of America?
So this question's kind of complex because if you had asked me this, a few years ago, I might have had a different answer than what I have today. But at least for today, my experiences have given me a lot of hope, actually, for the American people. I very recently had a lady call me, and no experience in immigration law, no reason that she would, but she had a friend, someone that she cared about, who was impacted by it, and she was scared for them. And so she reached out to me because she didn't know what else to do. And now, I'm getting connected with people and helping them connect with other people that can help them. And so this showing up that we've seen for vulnerable communities, and it's not necessarily just the immigrant community, but so many vulnerable communities, and this outpouring of care and concern that we've seen has really, to me, and maybe part of that is because I have so many immigrant friends and family members. It's given me a lot of hope for our future. I think people care. I think people don't want to see the things that we're seeing now. And I think that people are ready to get our country back. There was a promise to get violent criminals off the streets, and I will tell you that no one is against that. Even immigrants are not against that, because they're fleeing that in their home countries, right? A lot of times.
Right.
So everybody's fine with that. But what we're not fine with is seeing little boys separated from their parents, or soccer moms picked up who have been contributing members of the community for years, and people that are trying to do their best and are just here, just like our ancestors may have come looking for a better life for themselves and their children. That's all any of us really want, is better for our kids.
That really is the truth of it. Better for our kids. Even the people that don't have children want what's better and best for the children. And like you so well said earlier, because that is the future, and we all want to leave a better world behind. What made you decide that this moment required you to run for the United States Senate?
So as I said, never envisioned myself running for office before. I happened to, so after, it was a long process to get here. I will be the first to admit that during the first Trump term, I was very argumentative to people. I was not nice. The people that I disagreed with, and I thought that they were doing wrong and they were harming our country. And I fought with a lot of them. And I like to say I won every argument, but it got me nowhere. And then actually, the next 4 years, like a lot of us, I just felt a huge sigh of relief. Did not connect back with that part of our society, because I just, quite frankly, my vision of it was they had done something that was not good for us. And how could they? So when he won again, I started, what is going on? Like, it didn't make sense, right? And I started calling my Congress people and everything else. And I actually went out to Roger Marshall's town hall, and, he ran away from that. And I was very angry that day, just because he is elected to serve everybody that was in that room that day, whether he likes them or not, whether they like him or not. He still answers to us. And it started to really become clear to me that a lot of what are supposed to be public servants are really serving everybody except for the people anymore. And so, the calling wasn't working. I actually came home to see if there was a way that we could recall Senator Marshall, and there wasn't. And I thought that we deserved some way to do that. It should be difficult, but there should be something there if they're not serving us or if they're harming us. But so it was a really long process of what can I do? What can I do? Who's going to step up? Who's going to go and fight for the people? And this was something I could do. And I actually told him that day that I was going to take his job just to mess with them. But I figured, I started talking to my family and talking to other people. And I had a friend that had asked me to run before. And it was just something positive that I could do to make a difference, and to try to make a difference, and to try to reset the standard, is what I say, of our elected officials, because so many of them are working for money, working for parties, working for each other, and they have no idea what's going on in the places that they're supposed to be working for. They're not talking to us, at least the ones that, at least my senators are not. And so it was a positive step that I could take. I could have put all of my energy and all of my concern about our country into that, and so that's why now I think we need something new. I think that trust in our government is broken, and I think that that's across the board. I don't think it's just one side or the other. I think that we are all fed up with big money in our politics, and I think that if we don't start sending people, normal people, right, people that we see that are with us every day, that are going to the same grocery stores we're going to, whose kids go to the same schools that ours go to, we're never going to get our country back for the people. It's going to continue being bought and paid for, and just sort of, I don't want to say occupied, because that's like a really like kind of extreme term to say occupied, but held by, they get in there and they just stay, they won't go. And to me, if you're doing this job correctly, you should be ready to pass the reins on to the next person who wants to step up and serve, because you should be exhausted. Like going out and learning about people and meeting people, as much as I love it, advocating for people on that grand of a scale should be hard. It should wear you out. And then you should be ready to pass those reins along to the next person ready to do it. Because this is not, it's not so much leadership as it is service, right? And that to me is it's just gone so wrong, because they seem to think that they should be put up on a pedestal and we should bow down to them. And quite frankly, that is not how it works at all. They work for us, not the other way around. And I think a lot of them have lost sight of that.
The phrase I love that you just said is reset the standard. And that's what's ringing in my head. And this is a little off, but as you're talking, I'm thinking about so many amazing people that I've met here who are interested in resetting that standard. And my, I guess, question or concern is, wow, these people sound so, they're ready to get in there and do the fight. And so I worry and I'm concerned about the system as it is, overtaking these people or fighting within the system and being a, because while new politicians come into the system, there's still a whole body of people that have been there embedded in that system for such a long time, as you're pointing out, decades. And so is that a fight that you're really, provided you win and you get that position, a fight that you're ready for? And have you thought about that and your own position as a new leader?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid concern, and I think that's something that I think most politicians probably go into it for the right reasons, and then they get there, and like you said, they become part of that system, and so short answer, yes, I'm ready to have that fight, and I think the only way that we are able to accomplish this is if we demand the truth from our elected officials, again, the whole truth. And so my personal biggest issues are institutional reform. I want to see term limits. I want to see Citizens United gone. I want nobody except for the people to have a say in our government. Quite frankly, what I'd really like to see is, I don't know if it's public funding of a campaign or not, but I want to see each candidate for the same office have the exact same amount to spend. You go out, you give your message to the people, and then you go back and you let the people decide. No more of this smearing each other, no more of this misleading, no more of this spin, no more of these lies. And that's something that we're supposed to be able to self-govern, right? We cannot possibly self-govern appropriately if we don't have the whole truth anywhere. And I don't think we're getting it anymore. And now I don't know if that's because maybe none of them have the whole truth, or if it's intentional to, I think maybe possibly it could be both. There could be a lot of it in there, a lot of reasons why we're not getting the whole truth anymore. But there used to be, and perhaps you're aware of it, something called the fairness doctrine that required that the news channels would give equal airtime to both sides of an issue, right? So you might still get spin, but at least you're hearing from both sides. Now we don't have that, and people can say anything they want. And to me, I'm a lawyer. I have rules of ethics that I am required to follow, right? Many professions do, from blue collar to white collar, right? Most of us have some sort of standards we have to follow. For some reason, our Congress people don't seem to have any. There are no rules of ethics aside from, there's an oversight committee, but it's not preventing them from lying to us, from spinning things, from misleading us. And I want to see accountability for that. If you want to be in one of these seats, then you need to be held to a higher standard than the rest of us, in my opinion. And I don't think that that's happening. I think that they are, some of them are the lowest of the low, in my opinion, because they will lie, cheat, steal anything they can do to just keep their positions. and whatever price that means for the people that they serve doesn't matter to them.
Let's turn to your state, and I'm wondering what are Kansans telling you that they want most from leadership right now? What's the message that you're hearing consistently from those people that you would be serving in your state?
A lot of it's just honesty and integrity. They want somebody that's going to tell them the truth. A lot of us feel like we're not getting the whole truth anywhere anymore, and so that's a big one. But for some people who don't pay as much attention to what's going on, and some people aren't seeing things that you and I are seeing with the misleading and the manipulation and the we're worried about the future of our democracy, and some people only have time to worry about how they're going to make ends meet for the rest of the year. Are they going to be able to pay their medical bills? Are they going to be able to retire? Are they going to be able to take care of their children? These things. And so once you get past that sort of institutional part of it, you get to people who, like all of us, they just want to live, and they're struggling more and more every day, and they're being lied to and told the wrong things, and they're being tricked into voting a certain way. And should be careful what I say, because I don't want to offend anybody, and we've all been manipulated and lied to, and that's what I want to make clear is this is not one side or the other thing. It's all of us.
That's right.
But yeah, I think that they want somebody that's going to cut through the BS of the culture wars and this pretend us versus them, and recognize the American people, the people of Kansas, we're not each other's enemies. We're all in this together. Right. We're all in the same boat. Who are we fighting? Our actual enemies want to tear us apart. We're doing the job for them if we don't come out of it and say, we're not going to take it anymore, and we're going to focus on who's actually doing this. We're going to go after these big monopolies. We're going to go after these mega corporations that are controlling everything, and we're going to give some power back to the people. And I think that's what people want to see.
It's, while this may be more of a moral issue than a policy issue, I think the fact that people can lie just blatantly to our faces, it has a demoralizing effect on the whole system at large, right? Because then when you can't trust what people are saying to you, and you lose trust, you lose hope, you lose respect, and you start losing all these other parts of our framework that make us who we are. And so then the system is able to cause people to sort of turn on themselves, as you were saying. And so, like, that's a beautiful question. Who are we fighting? What are we fighting for? We're spending so much time. When I listen to, I actually don't like when I hear politicians say, the Democrats are this or the Republicans are that. And the reason I don't is because there are a lot of good, intentional people who are Democrats or Republicans just out in the world, right? And so you're constantly labeling an entire group of the United States as horrific, as liars, as cheaters. They don't separate and say the politicians are. It's the Democrats, it's the Republicans. And so it always feels like they're talking about the people to me and not the policymakers. And I think that's deliberate, but it is really demoralizing, and it's never challenged. It's never challenged. And it's one of the things that irritates me most.
And I think that's right. And I think it's very dangerous. And I think it's on purpose. To keep us, we're all just political pawns in their little game.
Right.
And I heard a fellow one day say on the radio, I didn't agree with anything he said, but he said, we don't have a bi-party system, we have a uniparty system. And that really struck something in my mind. And it's just been so much learning from the beginning of this to now about how our system works and how it's set up, and how it really, it's not, they do try to take that power away from the people, in my opinion. They want to select the candidate. They want to know, who's going to come in, and that they're going to do what they want them to do and whatever. but that's not how it's supposed to work. But I do think that any time that you are painting an entire group of people with a broad brush, it is dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. And they've brilliantly done it. And I don't know who wants it done, but I look at, Russia must be happy about it. China must be happy about it.
Mhm.
Anybody that is an enemy of the American people is excited about us tearing each other apart.
Yeah.
And so that we've got to decide who are the true patriots here. They're going to be the ones that decide not to allow that anymore. That we're going to come together and figure this out together.
That's right. So you are challenging an incumbent.
Yes, sir.
And what do you believe Kansas needs that it isn't getting today?
Literally any sort of consideration by the current representation. He doesn't work for any of us. He doesn't listen to any of us. He doesn't come back until he's ready to try to get votes. I hear that he's very good at, placating people and saying nice things and everything, but he refuses to hear any negative feedback. He doesn't answer his phone. Like I said, he ran away from his voters in Oakley, and I don't know if you watched the clip of that town hall. If you didn't, you should. There's a fella named Chuck Nunn who stood up, just an older gentleman, super nice guy, and all he did was ask about how the Doge cuts were affecting our veterans. And that was seconded by a guy across the room who goes, well, I'm not a Democrat, but I'm worried about our veterans too. And Roger Marshall chose that moment to leave that room. And nobody was being rude in that moment. Everybody was ready to hear what he had to say. And he left. And he left about 20 minutes early when we were promised an hour. But this was also right after he had a 3-day retreat for his wealthy donors in Florida. And that, excuse my language, pissed me off a lot. And so look that up, watch the gentleman talk, and I don't know how you can watch that and not be angry. But it just illustrated to me that he is not a senator. He is not doing his job. He is not there to serve any of us. And so that's it.
I think it's time for a mass exodus, and a lot of the people in power. It's really been an embarrassment. A lot of the people who have abdicated their power on both sides. And I was thinking recently about the power that the president has usurped. He has demanded, "This is my power," and people have gone along with it. And I thought, that's really interesting because we are supposed to have three co-branches, equal branches of power, and the Congress have completely abdicated their power. And if he, as a president, can say, "No, I'm going to take the power that's here and use it," they have the right, the legal right, to do the same thing and to push back and say, "No, we are co-equal branch of power," and to say there's nothing we can do or to completely abdicate that power. It has been such a wound struck to and against the American people. I mean, it has harmed us so much. I heard George W. Bush, of all people, say something recently, which was very interesting. He was asked by his daughter, Jenna, what did he think about democracy as it stands? And he said, "I don't fear the long term loss of democracy because democracy has always self-corrected." Well, it self-corrects because people stand up and people are willing to fight and people have laid their lives on the line. That's why it won't self-correct on its own. It corrects through participation, through the people. So how do immigration, democracy, and economic fairness connect in ways that people sometimes miss?
Yeah, so this was a complicated question, but I love it. And I thought about it a lot. So, it's a reinforcing cycle, right? You have when you have economic inequality, political power starts to get concentrated, and concentrated political power shapes immigration policy to serve who? The elite, the people that are using that cheaper labor or trying to get away with lower and lower wages, right? And it's not the immigrants' fault because, again, we're all just trying to make it through life and do something better for our children. But so if you have an immigration policy that thrives on creating a vulnerable working population, right? They are tied to employers, if they're documented or not. They are bound by whoever is employing them. So let's say, for example, if you've got an H-1B holder, his employer owns that visa. He doesn't. He can't change jobs and he can't demand higher wages. And a lot of times you will see them mistreated and worked longer and cheaper and everything else. And so we've got to get away from this blaming of the workers for that and start focusing on who's really doing it. And that, I think, we could address with some comprehensive immigration reform that would work for the people. But of course, they don't want to do that because then what are they going to run on? But so then you get workers, right? American workers who then are suffering because immigrant laborers are getting these jobs for cheaper, and then their wages are getting harmed by it. They can't organize as freely with immigrant laborers because, again, they're bound by their employers. They don't have freedom in how they are able to move from job to job or demand something better or whatever. But then even if you were to take away that immigration workforce, right, it's just going to move on to the next vulnerable population. They're going to find someone to work for cheaper somewhere. So we really have to pull the power back to the people again. And the only way I see to do that is we reinvigorate our unions. We educate people on how we can come together and demand better for each other, and work together and get it. But you can't have one reform without the other. You've got to have reforms in immigration and in labor protections and in democracy that all sort of works together to get us to a better place. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yes, yeah, thank you. And, because I think that's really the heart of the question, right? How do we really bring all of this together? And because if you can correct one part of the system, but that if the other parts are not also focused on and working in tandem or working together, then it's still an imbalance, right? Obviously, we can do one thing at a time, but or sometimes you can do multiple things, but it's really focusing on the larger picture. What has surprised you or moved you the most during your campaigning?
Probably realizing that we've all been manipulated and lied to. I started this out thinking that I was going to be right about everything. And that, oh my God, the other side is just so far gone and everything else. And I do think that there's some that's worse than the other and vice versa. But it really was the realization that, hey, we've all been played. We've all been used as pawns. They're doing this to all of us. And one thing that I keep going back to is one of two things has to be happening, right? Either the people that are out protesting and that have been out protesting every weekend, every single day there's a protest, right? There's always someone out using their voice. Either they are upset for valid reasons and the people in DC are not as upset, which I don't like, because they should be with us, right? Or the people in DC know that they're upset and they don't need to be that upset. Like, things are not that concerning right now, and that's even worse. But regardless, we've been used, all of us, and it's all of us coming together and saying enough is enough. What is the whole truth? What do we want this country to be? Forget about who's most to blame for how we got here, because we're never going to agree. And let's focus the blame where it goes, and that's up. It's not at each other. And so that's really it for me, is this realization that we really are in this all together. We're all in the same boat. We're all bound by the information that they want us to have, by the algorithms that come across us, whatever way that they've come up with next to manipulate us, with labels or this or that. And but I really, really have hope. People are ready for something different. People want change, and they want somebody that's going to go serve them, and they want to take this government back to the people. And so that really inspires me.
I love that. And I don't know, while you're talking, I keep getting this vision of whether it's you and all the politicians who end up in new positions, that you bring us with you, right? The people, we want to come with you. We have to at this point,
You need to
because I
come.
think we also realize now, you and that body of people that are trying to, you're going uphill, right? Because there's so much deeply rooted into the system that you have to overcome. And I think the only way that you can really do that is to galvanize the people and bring us with you. We
That's right.
can't we can't rest simply because you've been voted into power. You've said all the right things. We believe you. Great, terrific. Go up there and go get them. And then meanwhile, we'll continue on living our daily lives. It's not going to work that way.
Don't do that.
We have to come with. Right.
100%, 100%. And I say that, I say, no matter who, when I talk to Kansans, whoever you select, hold their feet to the fire, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else, that crosses every T and dots every I for you, because that's where it starts. Like, this country can only work if we, the people, are involved. And so that's one thing that I really want to take with me. I really hope to build a campaign team in every single county. And if I'm elected, I want to keep that, because I want the people to be able to get to me. I have a Discord. You can get on there and talk to me. We're not super active all the time, but it's one way to get me. I'm pretty easy to get to. I'm on Facebook. We have as many social medias as we can get. Facebook is, if you want me, it's Facebook though. But truly, that's 100% it. The people have to go with me. It has to be us. It can't be me. This is not about me. And that's what you'll hear so much when I talk about it. People have asked me, well, what if so-and-so jumps in? Are you going to drop out? Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to my team, because this is all of us. I've got like 85 volunteers who have dedicated their lives to this. Some of them for an entire year now. Some of them 40 hours a week. And this is like, I'm the face. I'm the one that's put my name out. But it's not me, it's we. And that is what I want. I want every single Kansan to feel a part of this. And then I want to go and I want to work. I want to fight for what is right for them. And that's whether it's good for me personally or not. Now, most of the time, if it's good for Kansans, it's going to be good for me, because I'm a Kansan and my kids are here. But what do I do as a lawyer? I represent people, and it's not about me, it's about them. And so that is what I would take and do. And that's what they should do. That's what they're supposed to do. It's not supposed to be about them. So, but I love what you said. We've got to go with them. Whoever they are, we've got to go with them. You're absolutely right.
We have to. I think one of the things that I often say that the fight for democracy is ongoing, and now it's our time. It's our time to shine, right? And so I think we have to take on a different posture as well as a society. We see what's happening. We know we've been lied to, been manipulated, taken advantage of, and pitted against each other. And we should now recognize these tactics and understand that they are tactics that are used to divide and conquer. So we now should become more sophisticated. And we have to, when we elect a new person, we have to also go with them to keep up the fight and to make the changes.
Yes,
it's
sir.
about making the changes. When history looks back on this particular era, what do you hope people will say, people of courage, chose to defend?
Well, I hope it's a story told from the United States of America, the real one, the one that's in that Constitution that I take an oath to, and I think so many of us feel loyalty to. And no matter who that is in the Oval Office, if you're not following that Constitution, that's not the United States of America. So I hope it's that one, and I hope it's a story of victory and a story of inspiration and a story of, our parents really got out and they were on the right side of things, and they fought for our future. They fought and they proved themselves worthy of this democracy in this country. And as flawed as our history may be, I say all the time, I get it. I was a history major. I know all about it. But we can learn from all of that, and we can take the good. There is good there, and we can take it. And if we can make this country what it's supposed to be, what we were taught it was, what we stood up and said the Pledge of Allegiance for every single day in school, and make it what it's supposed to be, that American dream for every single one of us. That's what I hope we see. That's the story I hope we get out of this. I hope it is one of heroism and inspiration, and something that our children will be proud to tell their children. Our grandparents, our parents fought for this country because they believed in what America stands for. And what America stands for is what? The belief that people are free, that we're all put on this earth and we have certain rights because we exist, not because of anything else, but the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, right? We all have these rights just because we exist, just because God put us here. And whether you call it God or whatever you want to call it, I don't care. We're all here. It doesn't matter what you call it, but we're entitled to it. And that's what those founding fathers put down in that Constitution, to guarantee that we have this right, and that we have protection from a rogue government, so that the people are always the ones in control. The people are always the ones in charge. And I hope that it's that. I hope it's that true American, we all came together and we took this country back for ourselves and our progeny. And we made it right, and we were on the right side of history. That's what I hope. Too much?
Listen.
I get going.
I'm not in Kansas, but you got my vote. I love your passion.
I think it's, I hear, they took the flag, they took patriotism. Hell no. Sorry. I hope that's, please bleep it. I don't. All good. But I mean that. The true patriots are going to be the ones that decide, I would rather save my country than be right, as my friend Mike Trapp says. I don't care anymore who's right or who's wrong. I care that we get our country back. And if that means we never have a normal Thanksgiving dinner again, fine. But maybe our kids can. Maybe our kids and grandkids can get back together. And I think it's our duty to do it. I think it's our duty to put our pride aside and just talk about what is right, not who is right. Get the politicians' names out of our mouths. Get the little letters next to the names gone. We're Americans first. And that's what we got to be.
This needs to be a national message, and I love what you're saying. It's what we're all feeling, and it's what we're all wanting. And with so much history, we have all the information. We've seen over and again where paths take us, and so we know that working together and coming together, that path will take us to a much better place, a place of unification, a place where we love and respect our nation and the people in our nation. Yes, so I've loved everything that you've had to say today. Wow. Is there anything more that you want to leave us with before we close out?
I think that's really it. The one thing, just going along with what you just said, when I was growing up, my dad had a sign on his wall and it said, "United we stand, divided we fall." And I really, really believe that. And, I just hope the American people will start to realize we're not each other's enemies. We need to trust our neighbors more than we trust these people in D.C. because they have no idea what's going on with us. And certainly we need to find out. Let's stop letting the internet tell us who each other is, because most of the time it's wrong. Most of us are not extremists. Most of us are doing the best we can in the society that's set up for us, but we can take it back and we can make it what we want for ourselves. I truly have faith in me. My money is on the people.
Hear, hear. Well, I'm putting my money on you. So thank you so much for being here, Anne. What a pleasure. And it really, really was. You're great to talk to. And so thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your perspective, your journey, and your vision for Kansas and our country. Folks, conversations like this remind us that democracy is still shaped by people willing to participate, serve, and lead. Thank you for joining us for Rise with Addison Witt. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who values thoughtful dialogue and civic engagement. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep rising.
Let me introduce you to an organization called Defense of Democracy. We're a New York-based nonprofit with chapters across the United States. Our mission is to empower pro-democracy movements at a local level with the goal of protecting the Constitution and other foundational American documents. We have a coalition of like-minded organizations, including faith leaders, veterans, and students, and we work to promote democracy, stand up for inclusivity, and fight censorship and book bans in our libraries and education system. Well, for just $5 a month, about the price of one coffee-type beverage, you can support Defense of Democracy's mission, and you can make a difference in your local community and really in the entire nation. That's just $5 a month. I'm going to say that again, not a day, not a week, $5 a month. One day out of 30, you can brew your coffee at home and stand up for the America that you know and love. So scan this QR code or visit defenseofdemocracy.org today. Put on a pot of coffee. We got work to do.